capability 2 and 3 of the PowerPoint presentation, and then we quickly move on to Q&A about the presentation itself, and then we can move on to any open it up to any other Q&A. If there's welcome everyone. Good to see the usual suspects. Today we have Andreas also on the call, which is good. Right, so I'm going to share my screen here. Let's look at the second capability. We looked at persuasion last week. We'll look at traffic now. I'm not going to cover too much on traffic for a couple of reasons. The main one being that Google is different to Facebook, and there's so many different strategies available. So I won't cover that. Also, there's quite a few. Most of you are traffic experts in one form or another, so I don't want to needlessly present on something that everyone knows reasonably well. And it's well covered by many other experts, right? But did want to share one tactic or technique that will save you a lot of money, actually. In fact, someone reached out to me last week, said, I can't believe we've never done this before. Because once they did it, they realized, oh, wow, this is such a massive benefit, which is to start your campaigns with the server-side split tester. And rather than just going through the notes here, which I did in the live presentation, I'll actually show it to you by going inside LeadsHook itself. So this is the experiments feature. Let's just re-log in here, kick me out. Right, so it's the experiments feature here. And what you want to do is add in your variants. Now, in this case, I've added in LeadsHook variant, but your variant can be just a page itself. So what would happen here is you would go, this is going to be my embedded version, and I'm just going to pick, I don't know, let's say that one there. Pick a domain. With this, for Facebook especially, you should have your custom domain, and that way you verify the domain, and that domain then is available for you to select from. So I'm just going to pretend that that's my verified domain right there. I'm going to click this little button here, and that allows me now to add in a landing page. Maybe not that one. So I'll just put Amazon.com or something as a Amazon.com. Oops, it should be a full URL. So https:// Right, so that'll be your landing page, whatever the landing page is. Give it a description if you have anything about that, and that would be your sort of like your third option if you are going to embed. Now, the minute you do that, so let's say if I do this and I go ahead and publish this. If I go into my decision trees here, and I just want to make sure I pick the other one, which is going to be the slider test, whatever it was. There you go. It's this one here. You actually get these options that pop up, and it probably is not obvious because obviously now you're going to be driving traffic to this DT itself that's embedded on that landing page we put in there. But because it's part of an experiment, it pops up here. This little thing pops up on every node. Mark this as a conversion and as an experiment conversion, which is obviously going to be down here. So your results page or wherever you want to mark that conversion place, you will mark that as a conversion like so. And that's how you indicate to LeadsHook or the data that we collect of where you want to mark the conversion. So as you can see here, really no fancy tracking to add, nothing. As long as it's embedded onto a page, LeadsHook will gracefully understand that this DT has been added as part of an experiment, and you want to click this button right here to indicate that this is where you want to mark your conversion. And that's how the conversion part happens. Now, that's no here or there. The purpose of doing this is, let's say for argument's sake, if you wanted to, this technique here that I'm sharing here, which is to start a landing page, even if you're only one variant. So let's say I have only one variant right now, so I'm going to run a Facebook campaign. So I'm just going to put Facebook test. This is going to be, I don't know, my version A or version 1. Version 8. Save right here. I will add my variant. So whatever that is, I'm just going to get that thank you page. This is going to be my version 1 DT. It is embedded. So I'm going to put my Amazon page or whatever it is. like so. Once I've published this, that's going to be published, but that's the URL you want to put in the ad. So when you go to this URL, you basically just redirect, or you not basically, you just redirect to this page here. And that's going to be where ADT sits. The reason for doing this is because let's say tomorrow you decide that you want to create another lander, and because this one sucked, because you were just testing and it doesn't convert at all, or whatever, it's converted at a fairly low percentage, and you want to test another one. So then you can just go ahead and add, another one, and once you've added it, which is the same steps, and you just go ahead and remove this one and publish it. As soon as you publish it, what happens is your Facebook ad traffic, rather than coming from this lander, starts going to the next one. In fact, I'll just do that. So let's call this version B. Just pick this one, amazon.com/ABC. And so it's not published at the moment. That's my original one. I want to remove that because I don't want to split test it. It's just bad. I don't want to waste my money on a bad variant. And go ahead and publish this now. And what happens is Facebook is going to drive traffic. It'll just redirect all of that traffic to this page now. No changes required at the ad level. So the purpose of this is to ensure that your advertising does not go back into learning mode. That's the whole point of this. And because it's server side, it redirects super quickly, super fast. So there's no impact on page speed and all that sort of stuff. In fact, we purposefully designed it to be extremely fast. And this is a server-side split tester. For the uninitiated or those who don't quite know, if I go into VMO, server-side split tester, right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and let's go here. Pricing and plans. This capability at the server side, which is this one here, there you go. We give you 100,000 impressions a month. It's available. It's billed annually, and it's about $1,500 US. So it's 1,500 times 12, which is 18 grand. The capability allows you to do about 18 grand. Granted, they do have a few extra things than we do, but we are pretty much aligned with this one right here. We have unlimited concurrent and unlimited variations and so on and so forth. So it's a lot of value. And if you're using this, basically LeadZook is free. We only charge you $99 a month. So please go ahead and use this. And this is the way to use a server-side split tester as a way to not needlessly go back to because the cost. So while your lander may not be performing, the minute you needlessly waste, you change it, and now you're going to change your URLs again in the ad. It goes back into learning mode. And so now let's say, for argument's sake, if you waste 5 days to get out of that again, then you've just wasted that 5 days of performance at that level that where you were at, that continued for 5 days versus the level that you ended up at, which is obviously to go back into learning mode or kind of almost restarting from scratch. That difference is significant, because those 5 days you're waiting around, you could have done other changes to the lander. You would have received so the opportunity cost of not missing those 5 days, and let's say now you do it. Let's say you run 10 tests, and all of a sudden, it's starting to add up now in terms of days wasted, especially if you're testing landing pages and not necessarily ads per se. So let's say you're happy with the ads, you're trying to find the right combination of the lander. So it's important to is why we're doing it. Okay, so that obviously if you have to change your ads, then that's going to go back into learning mode. But there's no need to needlessly send your ads back into learning mode, or to just because you want to change the URL where they end up at in terms of your landing page, right? So use it. Any questions on this before I move on? Nope. Cool. All right. Done. Okay. So, and so what would happen is actually, so I'm not clear. Hopefully I'm clear. That's the URL that you're going to place in the ad. Obviously you want to pick the one that you've verified at Facebook, for argument's sake, and you want to grab that one, right? And that's the one that you'll go and place with the UTMs. So question mark, UTM campaign equals whatever, UTM source, UTM whatever, all the other UTMs, and any other URL parameters that you want to use. You can go ahead and append those or add those to this one, to this URL right here. All right. And that's what all this is. All right, so next comes the analytics part. This was an insurance funnel in the US, and they broke their tracking, and quite and literally within 1 or 2 days, the leads dried up. The lead count went to 0, and it was quite astonishing to see how fast that happened. I'd never seen someone who had it so optimized at scale and then broke their tracking. So while I've seen like lots of smaller campaigns, and so it's really hard to judge like, oh, did my tracking fail or what's going on here? But when it happens in a $5 million funnel and the leads dry up literally within 2 to 3 days, right away what happened. In fact, we investigated, we're like, oh crap, the tracking broke. Fix the tracking, the lead count went back up. And that's the first time that I realized that at scale, especially, and I guess we don't quite know the impact at the lower level, but without the tracking in place, you probably won't be able to scale it anyway. So when spending at scale, even a small mistake will kill your campaign. Unfortunately, most don't even know that their tracking is broken, because the expertise required to assess this, while it's not overly difficult, I'm seeing that it's not really present in most teams. It's a gap. It's a gap in the capability, right? So adding a pixel and just a URL for conversions, that's not what I'm talking about here. And I want to share a bit more about that. So how many campaigns are needlessly killed because you didn't send the right information back, or you didn't send the right data back? Can you imagine the tracking was actually set up properly? Would that campaign had survived otherwise? And I guess the answer to that is we actually don't know. But that's the one that has probably cost more money than anyone else can imagine. So none of us can calculate how many good campaigns we've shut off because of a lack of good tracking. I mean the same applies to me until the last 5 or 7 years, when I've really have taken this to the next level, and I don't want to go live without the right tracking in place. Usually like, I'll work it out later. Well, this is one of those things that you don't have to work out later, and I'll share why. Firstly, the machines are hungry; they need to be fed. The game has changed in the way that the AI is working now. This is not Google ads or Facebook ads 10 years ago, right? This is at this stage, and data is what they need. Plus, with all the client side blocking that's going on with third-party cookies and even first-party cookies, it's never been more important to get this right, because the machine doesn't get the information. Right. So what does good tracking look like? Right. This is where you track every part of everything. And then we have our junk conversion versus our good conversion. So what I mean by that is let's say you've identified that in your funnel, there's a particular group of people that are not giving you the right answers. Maybe the location is wrong, maybe the dollar value is wrong, whatever you identify as your junk lead. Could be fraud traffic, could be whatever. You want to fire a different conversion event for them, because then you can identify what the junk looks like versus what the good looks like. Even though they both got to the thank you page, they're not equal conversions, because one is not qualified as the other. And we'll be using that very shortly when it comes to doing audiences, which is, I think, in next week's presentation. So here's what it looks like. It's the exclude side here, exclude. And you would pick up your source, your pixel, or whatever lead event, and then you would have the content, the parameter. So content type contains whatever, like junk or bad or Nebraska or Texas or whatever the parameter you're sending in the bad side is what you would include here. And that would be the exclusion that you're building on the audience. And then when you do a lookalike on this, or you overlay this audience against that, you're looking for a way to eliminate this group of people at the ad level, at the targeting level, I should say. So therefore, you're not spending money on people. So while we can remove them from our funnel itself, or don't send them into the CRM, or don't sell it to the client, what we're trying to do is to save money at the ad spend level. And so this is one way to do it. right? Now, what does high quality look like? Most people won't even do the view content part or do the right one. This is for Facebook, obviously similar ones for the other ad networks. This is what I'm talking about here, is sending all of the information that you possibly can back to your ad network, right? Then what does high quality server side look like? So this I'd shared this in an article inside this is for Facebook again, because most people rely on Facebook first. There was someone who's saying, I'm just not getting my duplicate. So he's doing double conversions. And he's like, why can't I do duplicate? And I looked at the setup, and the setup looked perfect. And I was like, I can't, like, they were passing the lead event, the ID, like in every way it was set up, but the duplication wasn't working. And I couldn't work out why. It's because what they had done is they were only doing FBC and FBP, but they had not added these ones in. So there was no email, phone, first name, last name, date of birth, gender, city, state, zip, country, and external ID. They were not sending these across to Facebook. And I didn't think it was that important. In fact, the Facebook documentation does not tell you that these are mandatory in any way. They just say, hey, these are extra things you can send. It'll help us get a better match rate. But that's it. It's more like a, hey, FYI, you can send us more if you want. And that's the only thing that's different. Now, in my testing, I've never had a duplication problem, but in my testing, I'm sending it everything all the time because I'm trying to test at the max level, not like just get away with the minimum. So I was like, you know what? It's a long shot. Let me try it out. I don't know. So I added all of these in, and all of a sudden, duplication works. But not just that. As a result now, they have a 100% match rate. I've never seen anybody tell me they're 100% match rate. There's a 100% match rate. You do this, you get a 100% match rate in Facebook. And therefore, you get a massive benefit on the media buyer side. Facebook just starts sending you cheaper traffic, I guess, because it's able to align. It's got a better understanding of who your target customer is, and because they can match better in the internal network, right? In their data. If they can 100% match, obviously they know exactly what kind of person to show your ad to. So you help them send you better data. Now, there's one person who split this up and said, I'm going to test it out, Nick. I'm not going to take your word for it. He got a 30% discount on his CPLs from doing this. Now, I'm not going to suggest by any means that everybody's going to get 30% off. In his test, it was 30%. Now, even if it's 10%, that's 10%, it's 10%, right? At $1 million spent, 100 grand. So this really matters. But there's a second order benefit that no one ever thinks about, is the scale that you're able to get to that you would not be able to get to without this, if that makes sense. So what I'm talking about here is, let's say without 100% match rate, you're only spending $500,000. But with a perfect match rate, now you can push it to $1 million. Right? We don't know what the split is, or where we're sending not sending this data and we're sending the data. But in the case of you getting cheaper leads, and it probably broadens out who you can send the audience size itself, as in who to target, the Facebook knows who to target better. So there's a massive benefit to not taking shortcuts here. All right, this is on the Google side. They have enhanced conversions. Hardly anyone uses it because it's as you can see here, it's a pain in the butt to set up, because you guys all use LeadsHook, or hopefully you do use LeadsHook. As a result, it's just as simple as just clicking that little button right there, add the Google conversion, and fill out the blanks that we provide you with name, email, phone number, so on and so forth. Now, just to show you what this is, just to explain what this is, for most people, most Google conversion tracking works on the G-Clead, right? The GCLID, WB RAID, like the various parameters. This does not use that. This actually tries to get a match with their first name, last name, email, phone, because obviously everybody and their uncle has a Google account. So it tries to find a match using the other data that it has, not necessarily the tracking IDs. So it's a non-tracking ID version of tracking. So it's able to obviously find more people than you would otherwise. So therefore, it's able to match better as well. That's why it's called enhanced tracking. And doing this, from memory gives you another 20-30% extra discount on your acquisitions. Right. The other reason for why I'm a big fan of turning all of these other ad networks on is because the commonality between the audiences across networks. So let's pick the Facebook one here. Of the people who just use Facebook, it's 0.6%. So 0.6% of people on Facebook only use Facebook. That's it, less than 1%. But that same person, 71% of them are on YouTube, 76% on Instagram, and so on and so forth. You can see all the numbers are here, right? And so what that basically means is that if I was to use my Facebook data to populate my Google data and my TikTok data and my Microsoft data and my Twitter data, all of a sudden these audiences are already built for me. So I'm using my Facebook ad spend, for example, to find audiences in all the other ad networks, all the way down to Reddit and in Pinterest and whatever else there is. So that's the reason why we added this in. I'm a big fan of turning these on, even if today you have no desire or decision to want to run traffic elsewhere. So let's say you're only a TikTok guy. Well, you know what? Send data to Facebook, send it to GA, send it to Microsoft, send it to Twitter. We're adding more and more in soon, right? And so that commonality allows you to now have those audiences pre-built for you. So what's the return on tracking? What's the return on investment on tracking? You optimize campaigns faster because the machines are fed. You're profitably scaling campaigns from about $10 to $1 million per day. That's the kind of numbers we've seen inside LeadsHook. You know your cash flow numbers. You catch fraud and fake traffic, and you know what to do with it because you can send a different conversion for fraud and fake. Horizontal scaling by finding more niches because now you have a better understanding of who the audiences are, the answers they're giving you, so you can actually horizontally scale. You can pinpoint accuracy to see where you're failing because every interaction is being sent. Now, what's the cost of not tracking properly? How much money will you forego on campaigns that could have been working better, but you actually killed prematurely because the tracking that was required to go to Facebook and Google and whoever else it is, it just wasn't going there. Therefore, it wasn't able to find you the audiences, right? And can you imagine how many you did not bank because of sloppy? This isn't tracking. And this is the main part here. Tracking is the only part of your marketing that works before spending a single dollar on traffic. Yeah, it's the one that I can confirm works 100%. I can test my client side, I can test my server side, and I know everything's working on point. Any new ad you create, you cannot say with any guarantee that this is going to work. Based on experience and based on what you've done previously, your odds get better. Like, hey, listen, I think this is going to work better than this ad. And so therefore you're able to optimize a bit better through experience, but it's never 100%. This is the only thing that can be 100%. So why needlessly take chances with it and not get it done properly before starting a campaign? All right, just a case study, 4 million ad spend. They got this. In this example, they added in client-side, server-side, plus deduplication, enhanced tracking. I think it's a Google and a Facebook campaign from memory. And it performed about 6.5% better, which on a 4 mil spend is 1.5 Ferrari, I guess. It was a good, yeah. All right, so what we'll do now is we'll stop here and we'll do the AI and the techie part next week, which is going to be capability 4. I will stop the share at this stage or move over to LeadsHook, and you guys can tell me if you have any questions on this. Sorry, there's a question that came through. Let me just have a quick look here. Sure. Which article, Andreas? Oh, and what are you lost about? Please share. Yeah, let me explain it because obviously we're on a call together.
Yeah, so I'm fairly new at all this tracking stuff. So when you were showing all that Facebook and the code that you would say, if you only add these two, you're gonna get low rates, and if you add all of them, you're gonna get 100% match rate.
Correct.
I don't know exactly where do you add all those.
Oh, okay, sure. I will show that to you right now. So let me share my screen. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for asking.
Nick, I wonder if my question would maybe help Andres a little bit.
Sure. Absolutely, of course, please. I'm happy to answer both at the same time.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut across Andre's question at all, but mine was going to be a very simple layman's question about if we were to look at an opportunity, an acquisition opportunity, how would you, in your due diligence, how would you identify the level, if any, of this type of tracking was being undertaken?
Oh, great. Yeah, no, great question. Because you know a priori what's up. So let me just go back into the presentation here. And I might as well, I'm just going to add a new tab.
You know, the thing is, like you say, you might be doing telephone, you might be doing email, but seeing that the other stuff that Andres was.
Absolutely. Okay, yeah. So I'll do the audit part first, and we'll use this as a framework to then explain the actual the technical part. So firstly, you want to see if they use GTM or not, and almost always not using GTM is indication that you're dealing with an amateur here. And the reason for that is because it's too complicated. Unless they're like, hey, I only do Facebook. If that's the case, then obviously it's an acquisition opportunity because they haven't even used the other ad networks. But let's say, for argument's sake, that it's not that basic, and let's assume that the opportunity is much bigger than someone who's not using Google Tag Manager, or hasn't manually set everything up. That's the other. So what we're looking at there is saying, okay, well, show me what does your GTM content look like, and or directly what it would look like. So if you were to look at directly what the traffic should look like, then it would be something like this. I would come under here, under scripts, or the equivalent of this, no matter what platform you're using, and you're looking to see whether I can see my Facebook pixel here. So for example, it'll be like Facebook pixel. This is the old manual way of doing it. So you'll see something like that, and then you'll see the Google one, and you'll see the TikTok one, and then you'll see the whatever. And so that obviously tells you it's quite an inefficient way of managing these things, and that would be the first thing to check for. And the way to do it would be, and I'll see if here they go. Let's do it to this page here. I would go inspect, right mouse click inspect, and you would look at it under this tab right here. So let me just refresh this, and let's see how these guys have set it up. All right, clearly they're using WordPress, which is good. And we can see that, all right, so what are they using here? They've got LinkedIn tracking here. They've got Marketo tracking here. They've got Facebook. They've got the cookie law thing going on. They got AdRoll, which is a third-party network. They've got Reddit, and so on and so forth. You can see there's the GA container right there, and it's telling me all the things that they're doing. Now, what else would I be checking for? I'd come over here and I would type in Google, and very quickly it'll tell me that the analytics tracking. I will pick one of these and have a look and see what does the event look like. All right, so there you go. They're passing some extra events and so on and so forth. That tells me, like, you know what, they're not bad. This is the first point of call would be to check and verify that the setups are there. Now, the server side part, you won't be able to always pick it up from looking at the client, because obviously we're looking at the client side here. But server side, you'll be asking them, saying, listen, as part of the due diligence process, I want you to either give me access to a clone of what you're doing, and or let's jump on a call, and I want you to show me how have you guys set up your server side tracking, and that way that they would show you. And then now I want you to log into the Google account and show me your enhanced tracking setup and all that sort of stuff. Now, you can pick up enhanced tracking from this side as well, but they would be largely what I'm looking for. So I'm looking for client-side tracking, I'm looking for server-side tracking, and I'm looking for deduplication, and the various enhanced tracking options that are available in the various networks. Now, that's the only 3 or 4 things you got to check for. That's all there is to it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I would go through the funnel. So here's what I would do. I would delete this. And let's pretend this is a funnel here, and I'm going to go ahead and click. Let's say, for example, that's my funnel. Let's say that's, there you go. Let's pick that. And what I'm looking for here is I'm looking to see, are they triggering every step along the way? So if it's a DT, I would click every DT and see what's popping up here for Google, what's popping up here for Facebook, so on and so forth. And that shows me the setup has been done properly. I don't rely on the pixel helper things. That's the other way of doing it. You could actually view there. The problem that I'm finding sometimes with the pixel helpers is that they don't work properly and I'd rather, and it's reading this data anyway. All the pixel helpers are reading this actually. So you might as well just go to the source. And so that's how I would go about doing this. So anyone that you're hiring now, so let's say for argument's sake, like, listen, hey, Nick, you're doing my head in here, and I don't want to do this. I just want to hire someone to do this. Well, now you know what to ask him or her to do for you. You'd be like, okay, great. Here's my site. Share your screen. Break it down. Let's see if you've got the goods to do this. So what you're looking for here is him or her to explain to you, here's what I'm checking on the client side, here's what I'm checking on my GTM side, here's what I'm looking for servers, here's what I'm looking for my enhanced tracking, so on and so forth. And they should literally be able to talk you through, like exactly how I'm doing now, as to how you would verify and check that everything is set up as expected, right? So that's the sort of framework on what to do. Jay, does it answer the question?
Yeah, incredible. Thank you.
Okay, cool, awesome. Right, now to go back to Andreas in terms of the setup, the server-side setup, let me see if I can find an example here. I may have one. Facebook. Oh, there you go. That's the server-side one right there. Right, so you would I guess I was testing here, but it's a webhook node, and this would be the Facebook URL, and then this information here is what this not that bit, where to go. That's what no, further up. That's what that looks like. Now the article for this, just to get a handle on this, it looks a little bit technical at first, and sometimes you're like, oh man, I can't believe this is so complicated. It's not actually. Just try and understand it, because once you get it for Facebook, you get it for everybody. You get it for Google, you get it for Taboola, you get it for literally, yeah, because everyone uses the same framework. That at its core, there is a URL that you send a bunch of information to. So once you get Facebook, you've got them all. In fact, Facebook is the most complicated one. So if you understand Facebook, all the rest of them are actually quite easy. And that was the tracking SOS course was all about, is where we covered all this in detail. So here's what this looks like. And there's a bunch of videos and stuff. I'll link it here. If there's any follow-up questions on this, please jump on the call next week, same time, same place, and or just ask in the Facebook group, and more than happy to help you out. So what you're doing here is, this is what it, there you go. That's the image right there. And that's what we are sending. That's the payload that we are sending inside here. So that will be the Facebook URL, and this bit you see here will actually sit. So I think I may even have it sitting somewhere here. Let me bring it up. There you go. That's it. That part. I'm going to copy this like so. Copy, and I'm going to be adding that right here like that. And then that URL will be the Facebook API URL that you pick up from your account. And that's it. So these are all variables that we send in. So you got to send in the event time. We replace that for you. We send that for you. We send that for you. That's that for you. That's that. FBP, FBC is all there. These are the examples of how you set up the SHA. So Facebook requires you to send your first name, last name, and so on and so forth as a lowercase. And so LeadsHook has got the ability to turn anything to lowercase by doing colon lowercase, and then that little whatever that icon, that little flat vertical line, SHA 256 will actually hash it. So you got to send the hash data, and this is how you hash it. So you don't have to do any of that. You don't need any code on hashing. You don't need to do any lowercase scripting, nothing. We provide this with filters, and you go ahead and do that. Now, if you, in case you're like, hey, Nick, I don't know where the filters are, it's sitting right over here inside the platform. So if you just go to add fields and you go case filters. So these are the case filters. These are the ways in which you can transform the data just by putting colon something. So let's say, for argument's sake, if that's your sentence here, you are a female and you wanted to do camel case. Camel case is this fancy looking thing this way. If you want to do it with dot, then you do it this way, and so on and so forth. So the one that we're looking at is was lowercase, I believe, which is this one here. So we are using this one. And then to transform the data, to hash it, we've got the field filters, and the hashing algorithms are right here. So some platforms are still using things like MD5, which is a lower hashing algo. As you can see here, there's only a handful of characters, while Google and Facebook have moved on to SHA 256. So in your case, with if you just want to hash the data, you would add in that vertical line 256, SHA 256. If you want to convert it into lowercase first, then you go colon lowercase and then go ahead and add that in. So what it does essentially is you can pick any field that you want, any custom field that you want, and come in here and just transform the data in whatever way that you're looking for. And that's the actual setup, right? So hope that answers the question, Andres.
Yeah, it does. I'll go through the
article. Yeah, and then jump. Yeah, perfect. And jumping on the call, it's unfortunately I'm not sure why Facebook made it so complicated, but it did my head in because I had to read like it took me about 30 hours to write this article, and about 29 of those hours was understanding what the hell they're doing. And unfortunately, not all the information is sitting in the one place inside the Facebook knowledge base. So I had to, get it from a whole bunch of places and do lots of testing to try and get it working. But the final output is actually quite simple. It's one URL and a bunch of data that you're going to send to it. So yeah, please do implement this. This is one of those things that really moves. So it moves the lever in two ways. Well, it permanently moves the lever. That's the first thing. Because once you get it, you're like, cool, I get it. Then what you do is you would grab this and just save it as a template. There you go, save as a template right there on the right-hand side. Now it's available here as a template. So when you come down here, it'll be sitting underneath this one. You drag and drop, make whatever changes you want, and that's it. You're done. And then you give it a quick test just to make sure everything's working properly, and you're off to the races. And this will be how you operate all of them all the time. Now, a lot of solutions out there will tell you that they do server side, and they're not lying. They're not lying. That they are doing server side. Unfortunately, what they're not doing is they're not passing this level of data, and that's where the match rates come. So everybody does this part, and perhaps elements of this part. Hardly anybody does this part here. In fact, I've never seen anybody who does that. This is the bit that allows you to really get the match rates high. And I can see why they don't do it is because firstly, they don't have available, say, let's say if you're a third-party tracking system, you're going to have to work out some way to send this tracking data to the third-party tracking system and then have them send it. But now you're sending all this privacy data to a third-party tracking platform. So that's the reason why. And secondly, you got to hash it and lowercase it and all that other stuff. So it gets in the too hard basket. So this is why most people, when they say, oh, we've got server-side tracking set up, they're actually talking about this, not that. And that's the part that makes you the money.
Nick, just to expand on those two reasons, if you wouldn't mind. So when it goes into the too hard basket, does it involve other parties? You talked about, maybe data there. Is it fall into compliance?
Okay, yeah. So two reasons. Let's say, for example, if LeadZook was a third-party tracking system, so we were not a lead gen system. We were not here to monetize the data that you're collecting from your customers, from your ads and stuff. Now, let's say if I was just a tracking system, you'd have to, and let's say you were using, I don't know, some quiz funnel builder, and they didn't have tracking. Well, you're gonna have to somehow work out how to pass the information to me first, and then rely on me to then send the data out on the server side to somebody else. And that means that you need to have quite a bit of technical capability. You have to have quite a bit of capability on your team to work out how do you send the data from here. So for example, if you want to send this information to, let's say, Google as a third-party tracking system, you need knowledge of this stuff here. So you need knowledge of this stuff here. That's right. And so now all of a sudden you've eliminated your basic tracking guy. You need someone who can understand a little bit of JavaScript. And so the technical competency required has just elevated. So what we've done, we do this inside LeadZook, except the way we do it is you just come over here and you press this little button, and you press that. There you go. That's it. You press that. When you do that, we are actually sending this. And so we've abstracted all that information, and we're already pre-adding it for you. So all you got to do is just decide, do you want to send the information or no? If you want to send it, we'll send it. You don't want to send it, we won't send it. But when we send it, we send this stuff. We don't send that stuff. Now, we have an update coming up very soon where this is going to be abstracted just like this. So hopefully you won't have to know even this level of technical capability, because we realize it loses a lot of people. Unfortunately, it hasn't been very easy. So we're working on something to offer this as a like a press button, and then now this complexity becomes just basically goes under the hood, and so you just click the button and it just works. But the other the other issue is that let's say, for example, if you have a funnel where you only have received email, but you haven't received phone and first name, then you got to recode this every time. So that's the other complexity that arrives is, let's say, for example, if I want to fire an event, but I don't quite know their city, I don't know their state, I don't know the zip. Now I got to adjust this. In another DT or another cruise funnel I've created or something, I may actually grab the city, state, and zip. In the case of LeadZook, you don't have to worry about that, because most people inside LeadZook actually use this field here. They use where they're not collecting that information, they just pass this. I'll go to custom fields here, and they just grab the geodata. There you go.
Right.
So what they're doing is, let me just expand this out here. They'll go and get it's a country code. They'll do the country code. Then they'll go and grab region, which is the province or the state. I think the code one that you use. And then there's another one for zip, and there's another one for city. So irrespective of whether you grab the data or not, wherever you want to, you can actually just replace it. So if you get it, override it with your custom field. Where you don't grab it, use the one that we collect from the IP address. And therefore, you are always sending all the information.
Right.
Cool. Great question, by the way. Yeah. Right.
You're building this in. Do you think anybody will use it?
I'm sorry?
You're building this in, but do you think anybody will use it?
Yeah, so those people using it are getting such a massive benefit. So here's what happened this week. Earlier this week, I posted into Facebook. So I think it was only one. I think it's my last post on my personal account. So let me just click on my name right here. Oh, it should pop up. It's this one here, and I said, "If you know, you know." and so here you go. So this is from the LeadZook users group. Someone asked saying, "Hey, if do I need to use some third-party tool? Do I need to use?" I think they asked if I should use Strappy or Steppy or whatever, some other third-party tracking product out there. And I said, to the best of my knowledge, there's no need for you to use any third-party product, because we're already doing everything at the max level anyway. Use the third-party product if you already have got lots of investments done there, and changing it into LeadZook is going to be a pain. But outside of that, there's no need for it. So this is somebody else had answered the question. Jason had asked, and I can't remember who actually answered, but we are getting a 10 out of 10 match rate for page view content, and lead. And that basically just tells you that the setup that we have sitting in this article right here, that one there, is basically spot on. And it allows you to do that. The reason why a lot of people don't do it is because of this. So in fact, what we'll be doing is, once we add it in, we'll actually block you from publishing. We're realizing that sometimes it's good to play Big Brother, in a nice way. Obviously, we're like, hey, listen, you haven't set this up. Do you have an allergy to money?
So, Nick, hi.
Yes. Hey, Jonathan, how you doing?
So that's a webhook you fire straight from the decision tree?
Absolutely.
And that's specific to Facebook, or it's all the?
No, it applies to everybody, but this example here is the Facebook one, and most of them are actually easy. They give you one URL, and you just send whatever custom fields you want. It's Facebook's got all this lowercase, uppercase, SHA, all that nonsense. Everybody else is pretty simple. So I've shared the link. Yeah.
That doesn't go through GTM. It's something that you will have to find from your LeadZook.
Correct. It's server-side, so it'll never go through GTM. Now, GTM does have a GTM server-side product, but now you pay Google for the servers. So that's what what's his name was, Jason was doing, and he wants to set up a server-side GTM. I'm like, why do you want to set up server-side GTM when you can fire everything from inside LeadZook for free?
Okay. So that you do it, you fire this only when you get a lead?
No, you can fire on after every one. So who answered this, man? I'm drawing a blank here. Let me see. Let's go to the leads group, so I can actually, I don't want to disrespect the guy. All right. Nope, not that. It was Jason, I think, that asked. There you go. That's the question right there. So Jason's asking basically, can someone tell me if I'm missing by not a full CAPI setup using something like Stape over what LeadsHook does? So then I answer the question is here basically saying, hey, can't comment on what Stape does or does not do because I've never used it. From my limited understanding, which could be wrong, is that you use server-side GTM, so you pay for that. Because obviously when you use server-side GTM, Google is running your service for you and you're sending information from the client to the server, and then the server is firing everybody. But if the client is blocked, even GTM server side is not going to fire anything. That's the issue I had with that setup, because the client still has to talk to the server. It's not like Google is sitting on top of your servers, because the client still talks before the server can happen. Here in LeadsHook, it's server to server straight away. There's no client involved in any way. So it's actually, you could say, in some respects, a much better setup. Well, it's one less setup, one less step in the setup here. Further, you have total control on what you send to Facebook or any other on every event that you want. Things like passing customer parameters with hashing, that usually most people can't do or don't do because you gotta code it. Your GTM variables become quite complicated very quickly. Frankly, the LeadsHook setup is complete, robust, scalable, and dupes with a client-side container. So I was glad, and then Richard answered. He said, "Yep, we're getting a 10 out of 10." So it's Richard who's answered that, and he does very big volumes, and yeah, he loves it. So yeah. So long story short, that's the whatever the setup of shared inside our knowledge base and inside the Facebook group is what you should be using. There's no need to use any other third-party product, because we've got the webhook right here. You fire that into Facebook, even as Google or whatever. So what he's doing something a little bit. He took it to the nth degree. It's all right. His setup looks like this, and then let's say you've got another one like this, and then he's got this. So he's got every client side setup. He fires a server side, and then if he's got next question, he's going to do a client and server side, and he's got client server side everywhere, and that's how he runs his funnels. And so when I saw it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's precisely why we created it. You choose how much complexity you want to add. Our job as providing the software is we're going to give you all the capability to do whatever hell you want. If you want to run it simple, you would have it just at the bottom. If you want to run it complicated, you run it everywhere. And if you want to go halfway, so we do have people who do something like this. So they'll do something like this. They'll have it right at the top. So that's the first node who arrived. They'll do it halfway. So let's say where you've given the name and email or something, and then they'll do a lead one right at the bottom, where you have actually fired, where you actually have done the lead event. So, but you pick and choose the way you want. To me, the minimum should be at least the final lead event, send it across. And the reason for that is because when you look at the data in a lot of detail, you will see that the client side misses anywhere from 5 to 30% of the leads. And it's not because the setup is wrong, it's because there's blockers all over the place now. Client side being client side, sometimes things just don't fire properly, and so on and so forth. So what the server side does, it does a deduplication where you're sending both, and where you don't send both, it gives you the extra 20-30%, or that extra whatever 5% or whatever's missing. It fills the gap.
That's something that, I mean, you will do on all decision trees, right?
Absolutely. So all you got to do, and so you'll be like, oh, I can't believe there's a lot of work here, but they're actually not, because all you're doing is you do one, you test it, make sure everything's working properly. You save it as a template, press that little button right here, and then from this point onwards, just drag and drop and do that over and over and over again for every other node that you have. So you can save one for view content. Excuse me. You can save one for lead. And now you have two, and you just drag and drop them, make whatever edits you want, and then just clone them. See, these are all clonable. Come here, do that.
So
So
one
it's,
for view content and one for the lead.
that's it. That's it. That's all you got to do.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I mean, you will,
Yeah.
And where do you get your Facebook webhook URL?
Yeah. It's. I think I've shared it in the article here. Where is it?
And if you're running like the same page on Facebook and Google or Taboola, I mean, you would just have like 3 of them,
Right.
or
Correct. Yeah. You would have 3 of them. Correct. You would have 3 of them. There you go.
times
Yep, right there. Now, what I would do here is, there you go, right there. But I will do this like this, and I'll go and check. Latest. Latest is 19. Okay, so you would update that to 19. I will share the URL with you. Graph API, version 20 now. Okay, cool. So you would use 20 and not what I've got here. So in my article, I have got I do share this here. So here you go. Make sure you put the right version. But the one that I used was version 10. It's gone to version 20 now. So you would use 20. I will just copy and paste that here. And what I'll do is I'll actually add that to the article. That grab the latest one from here. So it just works. There's no changes, many changes around all that. But oh wow, it just updated a couple of days ago. So version 20. But they do provide a lot of backward compatibility. So even if you don't touch it for months and years, it actually won't matter. So if you have a look here, this version 13 is available until now. So it was almost 2 years. So you're okay. You're okay. Yeah.
And so you will do one for view content and one for lead whenever you get a
That's
lead
it.
that you
Correct.
and passing all the data you said encoded.
Correct. Yeah. So what you can do is you can strategically pick the questions that you feel are going to be differentiators on the view content side. So let's say, for example, are you a homeowner? Yes or no, or type of injury you have, or whatever the kind of like the questions that would necessarily tell you, or credit rating is another good one. And so that way you can then go inside and form your audiences, and you can use that data that's available to form sub audiences to see if Google or Facebook, whoever it is, can find you other audiences that have answered the question in that specific way. But we'll go through that in next week's call, where I share, now that you set this all up properly, how do you use this, and how do you make like real money out of this whole thing? And so we'll cover that in next week's call.
With AI.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, no, cool, good. I'm glad you asked.
Yeah,
so here's the thing, right? Like, so when I presented at the event last 2 weeks ago, whatever it was now, there wasn't a single person in the audience, because I said, okay, hands up, who's doing this, and all the hands went down. And this was an audience of people who spend money. So they were largely ad agencies, media buyers, all that stuff. And so then I had a good chat with one of the guys who runs one of the biggest AdWords Facebook agencies in Australia, and I had a good chat to him, and he said, Nick, I wish our clients would do this sort of stuff. The problem is that we're somewhat limited in what we can do and what they can do. And in your business, obviously, it's different because you have control of the funnel. But a lot of these guys who are running media on behalf of other people, they don't have access to the clients' landers and pages and all that stuff. And so oftentimes they're a little bit limited by what they can do. But even those people who are running their own funnels, very few people do this. In fact, inside LeadZook itself, I've been only talking about this for 10 years now. I'd say almost majority, all of the top guys are doing it. So mil plus spend, they're all doing it. Otherwise, the ratios of this goes down really fast. Because the issue is this, right? Is like, I gotta write the ads, I gotta manage my team, I gotta do 50 other things, and I gotta do this too. And this always seems to take a bit of a back seat. But if your business is running media and generating leads and generating business, then you can't afford not to do this, because if you're going to get, so let's say for argument's sake, if you're getting a 30% discount, and that's serious money. Like maybe if you're spending $500, it's not serious money, but at some point it starts adding up. So it's yeah, there's no yeah, like if you're in the game, you got to do this.
Sounds good. Can you, sorry, Justin doesn't have access to, he wants to get on this weekly.
Sorry, who's not? Who's not?
Justin.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. I'll give you the link. There's a registration link. I share the registration link in the comment every week. So there you go. Copy. I'm gonna put that right here, and get him to go ahead and join that. That should do it. I mean, just think about it. There's only 3 guys who turned up for the call. So yeah, it just goes to show you, like the penetration of this is actually still extremely low. People are running behind what OpenAI going to do for me, and ChatGPT will do that for you. And like this is 101 stuff. You can get this right, and then you won't need. I mean, I'm not going to say you don't need OpenAI or whatever. But the point is, like this is the lowest hanging fruit that I know of.
Delete this video.
It's so much information.
Yeah, in fact, I was checking our stats on the YouTube videos. It's like 10 views, 5 views. It's I guess well, what sells is how to quickly and easily get rich in 22 seconds. That sells. I gotta become a charlatan, I think. Unfortunately, I can't stomach that crap, so that's unfortunately. I wish I could.
It's great.
All right, guys, if there's no more questions, we'll call it a day. Same time, same place.
Thank you.
Jay, I probably won't see you next week, but it'll all be online, I promise.
Okay, thank you.
Congrats. Good luck, and yeah, chat soon.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Yeah, bye, guys. Bye.